one. It is Country Viewpoint here on Flow FM, and we've got a story going at the moment that we're covering, like most people are, and it's the situation for our fruit growers in the Riverland. Our good friends in Doecke, of course, listening on the Flow network today, and a bit further up in the Riverland have got some issues with the labour shortage. We can't get enough Aussies to go up and pick fruit, is the reality of the situation, and we need to get some Pacific Island workers in. Now, it's not as simple as it seems in these COVID times, and a man who knows this much better than I do is the Citrus SA Chair, Mark Doecke. He joins me on the line right now. Mark, welcome to Country Viewpoint.
Yes, how you going?
Very well, thank you, mate. How are things going? Before we get into the nuts and bolts of our topic today, how are the trees up there looking?
Well, actually, I'm spraying as we speak. I'm just putting a little bit of sunscreen on and getting ready for the heat for the next few days on some varieties. And the trees are looking really nice because that's been quite a mild summer so far.
Yeah, so they're going to be plenty full come harvest time, as we know. And look, governments around the place through this COVID pandemic obviously it was brought to their attention pretty early that there was going to be a labour shortage. How have you worked in with the state and the federal governments to sort of try and address this as best you can?
Yeah, we've been speaking to the state government for 12 months already because they were pretty interested in what our requirements for labour would be, even right back through last winter, through last season's story. So we've definitely been working with government and suggesting little tweaks along the way, subject to further and subject to health approvals. So, yes, it's been a journey.
Now, I believe the state government's already made a number of concessions to try and help out get some Pacific Island workers in. In fact, I think there's already a plane load that have come in, and I think there's 3 more plane loads scheduled to come in the next month. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. That's for across commodities, and even I think some of the first plane load went to an abattoir. So it's all sorts of regional jobs catering for with those guys.
What are the reasons that Aussies won't take up these jobs in country areas, picking fruit or working in abattoirs or whatnot? We've got, almost full employment in regional SA at the moment. In fact, we haven't got enough houses in some parts, so we've discovered on this program. I mean, why can't we get more people out there in the regions?
I think that Australians have become city-centric, unfortunately, and I don't understand it because I really don't have that much time for the city, but that's what's happened. And I think the other problem that maybe is that we don't value the lower end of the workforce. Like, unless you've got a uni degree, you're not worth anything socially, maybe. And that's
a good point.
Theory, but yeah.
That's a good point. One of the other myths around working in horticulture and fruit picking and the like is that the pay is terrible. Now, I don't know, once upon a time that might have been the case, but from what I'm hearing from producers these days, it's certainly far from that, and there's been plenty of government incentives to try and get people out into the region, so I don't think we can use that as an excuse, can we?
No, and you've got a myriad of law in Australia protecting workers. Of course you're going to have a rogue operator, but there's ample laws protecting workers, and at this point in time, the last thing that we want to do out here is rip off a worker because we actually need them. So I don't think there's too much credence in any of that. Of course it happens. I mean, it happens. Workers get ripped off in every avenue in life, so it's not just us.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. All right, well, look, the reality is we can't get enough Aussies out to pick fruit. There's fruit there ready to be picked. Normally, without COVID in our lives, we would have, backpackers, Pacific Island workers coming in, working their backsides off for the harvest period and then heading back home with a wallet full of cash. Now, through this COVID period, it's been a little tricky to get them in. We know the federal government has made some sort of concessions along the way to try and get these guys pre-vetted from Pacific Islands and ready to go. But you're calling on a travel bubble with the Pacific Islands. Now, tell us why.
Well, it just seems to make sense to us, and I know we don't know the implications of everything, but our idea is a travel bubble. The main advantage of that would be to save the people sitting around for 14 days and also save the importer of the people, if you want to call him that, paying the quarantine costs. So it's sort of a couple of reasons that we think that's the way to go there.
Now, in these Pacific Island nations, we've heard from David Littleproud on this program in the past, and you can correct me if I'm wrong with your understanding on this, but a lot of these Pacific Island nations, Vanuatu included, there is no COVID footprint in these countries. They are pretty cleared, almost like we are over here. The only COVID that they have that comes into their countries are from international arrivals, and I believe in some of the Pacific Island nations, they've actually just shut all that down completely. So it's not like we have to worry about them bringing COVID in. Is that your understanding?
Well, the risk from Pacific Island nations is very, very low. I mean, the Fiji government guy, like the president, if you want to call him that, was on TV the other night saying that they hasn't had a case in Fiji for 300 days. So you'd say that risk is very low.
How many workers do you need just here in SA? I mean, obviously we've got issues across the border in Victoria and New South Wales as well, but here in SA, how many workers do you need to get in to get harvest done, properly?
In SA, in citrus, just in picking, I mean, there is some workers available from other sources, but we probably need at least 1,000 Pacific Island workers for picking alone in SA.
Right. And what's the timeline? How long have you got to get them in to get the job done?
We sort of start picking in about 6 weeks, the very early mandarin varieties, but the season's max from mid-May on right through till virtually October. So there's, quite a few months there of a very busy time because we grow around the 200,000 tonnes of citrus in SA.
Yep.
So that's quite a bit of work to get that off and get it processed through packing sheds and transport, etc. So quite an operation.
Now, the implications of not getting these workers in and getting people picking the fruit is, it seems fairly simple. I guess fruit rots on the ground and you don't get to get as much to market. But I would imagine that would lead to potential price rises at supermarkets and at the grocery shelf.
Well, at least with citrus, we're blessed to have a couple of weeks to get the fruit off, whereas with stone fruit, you've got like a couple of days to get fruit off. So probably fruit rotting on trees hopefully won't happen. I mean, that's a very, very worst case scenario, but I'll have to put the picking bag on myself if that happens.
Yeah. Well, look, mate, we wish you all the very best. And look, if anyone out there, the other message, I guess, is across our Flow network, if you are looking for a gig, looking for some money in the pocket, head to the Riverland, I guess would be the message to everyone today across the Flow network, Mark.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we're happy to start anyone. I mean, not everyone likes it, but if they want to have a go, there'll be plenty of growers who'll be willing to give them a try. Good
stuff, mate. Well, it's great chatting with you today. We'll let you get back to it, and thanks for joining us here on Country Viewpoint.
Anytime. Thank you.